like this.
Hanji, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Hanji Hello podcast with me, Raxstar. I'm going to start this week's episode with telling a story. First, I want to say sorry for the slight delay in getting this week's this month's podcast out. It's normally the first of each month that I'm aiming to get these out. I've just been a little bit busy and just emotionally as well. I just haven't really felt up to doing a podcast. I was unsure about what I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to blame Mercury being in retrograde as well for how I felt during that whole period of time. I'm going to start today's episode talking about I'm actually going to start by telling a story, and then I'm going to kind of relay that into what I'm talking about this week, which is taking things personally. These are discussions that I have with a lot of friends of mine and with people that I know, and we talk about, especially being in the public eye, a lot of feedback that you receive from people, in particularly negative feedback, is normally a reflection of that person's own issues and insecurities that they are not projecting actually, they see you exposing those within themselves, and because of that they react negatively towards you. And if you don't look at things that way, you can start to take things personally. I've done it in the past as well. You take things that people say to you personally when it's not actually about you. So the story that I want to tell is actually about a show that I did in, I think it was probably 2011 or 2012. I got booked to do this show at a school, and I can't remember the name of the school, can't remember where it was. It's so weird, like I've done so many shows and I have these like vague memories of where it was or what it was. Anyway, so I had this event at a school and it was in the evening, and I didn't really have much information about it. I just normally used to just get the time that I needed to be there, how long I needed to perform for, and and if there's anything outstanding that I needed to collect payment wise. And I would obviously go with me, someone would come with me. So I had a friend of mine who would come with me to these shows, and he would DJ, and I do the performance. He'd kind of handle things, liaise with the organisers, all that kind of stuff when we got there. Anyway, so we got to this show at this school. Going to schools in the evening is just weird as well. Like, have you ever been to when you used to go to school, do you ever remember going to your school, like, when it's parents' evening, or even when the school was like closed? It's like a weird kind of energy and feeling like going into a school. So I got into the school. There's the teacher's kind of at the front, and she's super hands off. Like, for me, I thought, okay, I'm going to this school, I'm doing a performance at this school. Obviously the teachers have kind of got some sort of say in this event or whatever, but the teacher was super hands off. And what happened was, I'd been booked by 3 of the students. I get into the school, they take me to like the back kind of area. I can't remember what it was, like a canteen or something, and everyone, like the whole school was there, or the whole year, I think it was like year 10s and year 11s, they were all there. And I just felt super awkward. Like, imagine walking into a school and everyone just stops and stares at you, or everyone just, like, everyone's just looking. And I just felt really self-conscious and just super, like, hyper aware of, like, everyone just watching me. I think schools are like that anyway, and then you add the, whatever celebrity factor into it, whatever. If you're listening to this, that's in quotation marks, because I don't really take that stuff too seriously. So I walk in, I'm in the cafeteria area. They kind of sit me down. They're like, they're being nice. They're offering me, like, if I want something to eat, something to drink, this and that. And I don't know actually what the event was. It wasn't a talent show. It wasn't, I don't know what it was. It was like kind of like a showcase, or just some sort of event that they wanted to put on, the students wanted to put on. and they were like, then the people that had organized it, the organizers, they said, oh, when you're performing on stage, we want to be on stage and be on stage with you while you're performing. And that was just a bit weird. I was like, that's probably not going to happen. Like, when I perform on stage, I'm performing on stage, so it's my and plus these are just, like 3 students of this school. I'm sure they had uniforms on. I can't remember now if they had uniforms on, but it would have just been weird. Like, what? I'm rapping on stage, doing the show, and you guys are like on the stage, like just backup dancers or standing there. It's just super, super weird. I was like, when I do my performance, it's fine if you want to say something at the beginning or afterwards, but when I'm performing on stage, I will just be on stage. I don't want anyone else on stage with me. They said, yeah, that's fine. Anyway, eventually got to the performance section, so everyone kind of goes from that canteen area into the main hall. I walk into the main hall, and then one of the girls goes on stage to introduce me, and I don't know what beef these guys had with each other in their year group, or what was happening, the politics of their school, or the dynamics between all these different peer groups. But she got on stage and she was trying to make a point. She basically said, you thought I couldn't do this, you guys doubted us, you said we couldn't do it, but look, we booked Raxstar, he's here. I think what happened was I don't know if they had clearly they had people saying to them, oh, you guys are chatting shit, you haven't got Raxstar, you haven't got an artist to perform at this thing that you're putting on, blah, blah, blah. So to them, it was like a slap in the face to people that had doubted them. But imagine me, I'm an artist about to perform on stage, and someone's giving a speech about, you lot didn't believe us, we did it. It was very kind of argumentative, crazy energy to be coming on stage and to perform on afterwards. So then in my head that kind of clicked. I was like, okay, cool. So this is like a vendetta kind of revenge thing that I've come to perform here for these guys' honor. So obviously they want to be on stage to be like, yeah, look, we did it. So that's why they wanted to be on stage. So that made sense. But anyway, so I did my performance. There was a couple of rappers there, the young guys. I remember getting them on stage, and I let them have a little come on stage and perform with me a little bit, or perform a little. I feel like stuff like that's important, especially every school's got someone in their year, like a couple of guys or a couple of girls, people that rap or do music, and I was like that in school as well, so I would have relished that opportunity to be able to do that. So yeah, I kind of did that. I was like, who raps? People kind of pointing at, oh, this guy does. I brought them on stage. I did a little beatbox, got them to rap. Gave them a little bit of shine on stage, which I thought was really, really cool. And after that, it was a shambles. It was a full shambles. So I've done my performance. I've done what I've come there to do. And then they took me back to this cafeteria area, and it was just shambolic. There was no organization. I was just surrounded by people. People wanted pictures. It was really, really overwhelming. So I'm already feeling overwhelmed just because of this environment, man. It does kind of make you feel like you're back at school, and I think maybe I was just feeling like I was back at school because, and at school I was like, I wouldn't say a bad experience at school. I actually had I really enjoyed school. In my first couple of years at school, it wasn't that great. I was bullied a little bit, and then as I got into year 9, 10 and 11, I kind of came into my own, and I enjoyed school a lot more. But I still have not anxiety, but I don't know, I suppose something kind of got triggered a little bit, where everyone looking at me, and just that kind of the pressure of all these eyes on me, especially after I had performed, and already the weirdness that was kind of going on amongst the students. I just felt like like a pawn. Do you know what I mean? Like they were having a game of chess, and I was just like, they were trying to get one over these people, and they were trying to get over the other people, and I was just like a piece of the puzzle to say, look, we're better than you because we did this. It was kind of an ego thing. So anyway, all of that's in my head going on, whatever. My guy that I was with, he kind of got caught up in it as well. So people wanted to take pictures with him. So he went off and started taking pictures with people. So I'm like by myself. I've got no one with me. I don't know anyone. And I've got all these people just one in. And it just got really, really overwhelming. I think the teachers were there as well. And I'm trying to look at the teachers like, bruv, do something. Like, you know how I don't want to cuss teachers because I've got a bunch of friends that are teachers. But sometimes those teachers there, I'm not going to throw you all under the bus, but those teachers at that point, they were a bit like lost. Like they didn't know what they were doing. I'm like looking at them like, can you guys kind of take a bit of control here? And I don't think they did anything. So I tried to take as many pictures as I could. I managed to get my guy. I remember saying to him, like catching eyes with him, or he come close to me. I was like, bro, we need to get out of here. Because I just wanted to, it was just too much. I couldn't deal with it. I needed to get out of there. And I took as many pictures as I could, and then I was like, right, we gotta go. So he was like, yeah, cool, let's get out of here. So he's kind of like making way for me to leave. And imagine there's not like a line of people to take pictures. It's just like a huddle of people just around me. And I don't even, were they taking pictures? I'm trying to remember now. They were taking pictures, or it's like they just wanted to be close. I don't know, man. It was like you watch it, oh, this is mad because I'm like gassing myself up and bigging myself up so much, but it was like a crazy one of these like Michael Jackson videos where you see him and you have like heaving crowd of people. It felt like that. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was only like 100 people or something, but to me it felt like it was a lot. And it was very, when you're by yourself in that environment, because my guy wasn't there, and then obviously he came after, even then it's just two of us and there's all these people, it's a lot. So I'm leaving it. I'm just like, I'm in my own space, in my own head, and I'm like, right, I just need to get out of here. I need some, like, to get out of here is too much. I'm just like in my own space. And he's kind of chaperoning me through it all and getting me out there. And we got to the front door. I think the organizers, we said, like, we just kind of said hello, thanks to them or whatever. The teacher, I think, was there as well. We said thanks, and we walked out. And I was just like, oh my God, like, this is one of the most shambolic things that I've had to be a part of. And I felt bad. I don't know. I felt bad for somebody. I think the reason why I felt bad was because this is one of these things where when events or anything like this is badly organized, it looks bad on the artist. So I've got there and I've done my performance and I've tried to, speak to people politely that have spoken to me politely. I've taken pictures of people that have been polite. And then as a human being, I need to get out of there, just because it's too much. Now, because the organizers, I can't blame them. There's a bunch of kids, man. Like, they wanted to get an artist to perform at their school, and that's what they did. They're not organizers. They don't know you're supposed to, give the guy a space, or kind of let's set up a way that we can all kind of say hello or take pictures. They don't know all that stuff, so I don't blame them for that. The point I'm making is, it looks bad on me. It looks like I went there, I performed, and then people don't see that I stood there around when I waited around and I did what I could, and then I needed to get out of there. They don't see that. They'll just say, oh, he went there and then he got out of there and whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. That's why I kind of felt bad. Now, when I got back home, this is before we had all this stuff on our phones or whatever, and I started getting messages on Facebook. I think I started getting messages from people on Facebook. Oh, you were bare rude at our school. You came today. You didn't wait around and see everyone and speak to everyone. And then I remember one guy, and I think I remember seeing him as well. He goes, bro, why did you ignore me? And I think I remember this guy because what I did was I came out of the cafeteria and there was a bunch of kids standing there. Like, it was like they were lined up like a corridor. They're all standing there, and I as I walked out of the corridor, I just looked down and I got out of there because I was just like, I need to get out of here. So I walked past a bunch of people, and I think he was one of the kids that was standing in that corridor. Now I'm going to circle back to my point about taking things personally. I didn't ignore him. I had my own shit going on, and I was just walking through that corridor to get out of there because of everything that had happened that day. To him, he felt like I ignored him. Now, how much, if you look objectively at that, I did not go out of my way to ignore this guy. I didn't look at him and say, right, I'm not going to talk to him. As far as I'm aware, he didn't even say anything to me. I don't think he did. I think I spoke to him after that. And, I kind of said to him, where were you? Did you say anything? And I think he even said, I goes, did you say hello to me? And he goes, no. I go, did you say anything to me? And he said, no. So I'm just walking past someone and they haven't said anything or done anything to get my attention, but it turns into I was ignoring them. And that whole thing, I always look back at that situation and that time when people talk about, or whenever these things come up about taking things personally, because you don't know the bigger picture, you don't know what's going on. So when people lash out at you, or you receive negativity from other people, how can you take that personally? And this is me telling myself as well, how can you take that personally when that, whatever they're saying or doing or expressing, is a result of whatever they're in and around and whatever's currently going on in themselves? It's not a result of you. Sometimes it's a result of you exposing their own insecurities. I mean, it's so cliched now, but when someone is successful at something and another person will look at that success and try to diminish it, or play it down, or say, oh, he's not that good because of this, or she's not that good because of this, or she might be this, but she's got that, point out a flaw, or try and say something about that person to throw a chink in their armor. The reason why they do that is because it exposes an insecurity in themselves. Oh, that person's successful, I'm not successful, let me bring them down to my side, to my size. That person's done this, I could have done that, but I didn't because I let fear control my actions. If you see someone this is an amazing quote that I see, you will never see someone successful shitting on someone else's success. It's always an unsuccessful person who shits on someone else's success, because it points out their own inadequacies, in whatever that may be. Because if you're happy and successful, you will be happy at other people's success. And that's a state of mind as well. Even if you're not successful, if you're happy for other people and for their success, it will automatically come back to you in some way. And then it's up to you to pay attention to that, to see those signs, to see where that positivity is turning up for you, and to appreciate that, and to point that out, and to highlight it. So yeah, taking things personally is something, I think for me, is something that I've worked on a lot, and I'm still working on. And I try to look back at different points in my life where I've seen things that relate to that topic, but can allow me to understand a negative comment or a negative experience or interaction with someone as something part of a bigger picture. It's not something that's intrinsically linked to me or my actions or my behavior. My actions or my behavior may trigger something in someone else that causes them to have a reaction which is unfavorable. But that doesn't mean that it's about me, because in most cases it's not about me. It's about themselves. So try not to take things personally. I guess that's the that is today's lesson in the Hanji Hello podcast. Try not to take things personally. And I'm trying. It's really, really hard though. It's easy to say. When I'm recounting that story, it's just kind of me reminding myself of that situation, and to bear that in mind when I am taking things personally. And sometimes things are so people say things that are so close to the nerve that it's not impossible, but it's very difficult not to take those things personally. But in those situations, that's where you have to step back. You have to step back from those situations and remove yourself from those situations and try to see them objectively from a point of view which isn't yours. Okay, cool. Good talk. We're going to get into some of your agony Uncle Rax questions now. I think I'm calling it that now, agony Uncle Rax. But yeah, if you've got any other ideas for a name for this section, because I'm not agony Uncle Rax is cool, but I feel like there's something more smart that could be, that I should be able to come up with, but I'm so creatively stretched on so much other stuff that I'm working on right now. I can't think of something that it could be. But yeah, agony Uncle Rax session begins now. Right, this one is called Breakup Advice. I hope you're well. I've been listening to your podcast since you started and I love it. Thank you. And thought I'd ask for some advice from agony Uncle Rax. Okay, here we go. So about a year ago, I met a guy through Dill Mill. Other dating apps are available. Unless Dill Mill want to sponsor this podcast, then I'll big them up all day. Do people how are people's experiences? I'd be interested to hear about people's experiences on these apps. Because I don't really know too much, to be honest. Some of my friends have been on these apps and they've told me some stories, but it'd be interesting to hear what your experiences are. Anyway, so about a year ago I met a guy through Dill Mill and everything's been going quite smooth. No issues. Lockdown didn't really impact our relationship as we both live in different cities. I'm not going to say the cities, but they're not that far. And they both work in a similar capacity as well. Long story short, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary. He had met my parents and my siblings, and I've also met his mum. After our 1-year anniversary weekend, he ghosted me for 3 days, which is out of the ordinary. He then rang a few days later after saying that he has to end things because of something he heard via his mum. So he's friends with some of my extended family, and when we started dating, he knew I was related to them, and so did his mum. I have a feeling she forgot because of how the whole shitty breakup happened. He rang 3 days after we celebrated our anniversary saying that his mum told him that his family have had issues with my extended family, and though they keep things civil, his mum doesn't think that we last together, and that it would be probably a typo there, that it would be better to end things now rather than later if a problem were to arise. Being adults, living far apart and both having demanding jobs, I've accepted this, but I'm still very much confused and left basically in limbo on everything. I know that my relationship has ended, but I still feel lost. I went from celebrating a 1-year anniversary with someone that I was planning to spend my life with, we talked about getting married, we had started planning it for next year, to just days after him ending the relationship based on something that happened years ago and in my opinion had nothing to do with me. I've approached the breakup and apologised for whatever my extended family have said, hoping that this would have just be a hurdle that we can move forward from. But nothing I say seems to change his mind, and I feel like I'm being made the enemy for something that I've never said or did. I do feel that he's blown the whole thing out of proportion, but I still feel lost and honestly don't know what to do. This is really... That's really shit, man. It's really tough as well. Whatever has happened between your extended family and this family, which is, from what you've said, nothing to do with you, it's not able to be fixed. Clearly, from what his actions have been and from what you've said, what his mum has said as well. And that's really, really tough. if he had taken a stand and you had both decided, look, regardless of whatever issues there is between our families, we both want to make this work. If that was something that could be done, then you could have made this work. A relationship does require two people to put that in, to put that dedication in to make something work. The fact that he has said he's not listening to you and he hasn't taken anything of what you've said on board, and that he said, look, I've talked to my mum about this and she said this, I think that's it then, isn't it? He's said what he said. It's not going to change. I mean, it's very, very sad and unfortunate that you have to go through this, but I mean, from where I'm looking at things, you might have dodged a bullet as well, because if they have this much of an issue with your extended family, I think they may have expressed that disdain towards you as well, because you're related to them, and that might have made your relationship and your marriage and your relationship with his family difficult as well. You might have experienced a lot of unnecessary aggro. So I know it's tough. I know that you feel like you've wasted a year, but it's better to have wasted a year than to have spent the rest of your life in a situation that was out of your control and that would have made you unhappier in the long run. I would just chalk this up to experience. I would tell you to let it go, to respect what they've said, regardless of how you feel about it, to change the narrative on how you feel about the whole situation. Like I've said, the narrative that you're telling yourself at the moment is one of you possibly having a kind of happy ending with him, and this issue between your extended family and his family causing a breakup. I think you should reframe that to being there's an ongoing rift between these people and you were about to be chucked in the middle of it. And if you were chucked in the middle of it, you would have been in a really, really tough situation. And it's a shame. Life is short. These family political kind of situations, whatever the issues are, they are really, really not worth it. But I feel like certain generations previous to ours, it's impossible to get those mind frames changed, and it's very, very difficult, especially when people are stuck in their ways. And it's up to us, newer generations and people that are carrying on this mantle, it's up to us to let those things die in the past and be left in the dust, and for us to move forward on more amicable and open-minded and positive ways forward. So what's happened has happened. You can't change it. You can't go back and bring that year back or change your experiences. Moving forward, you've probably learnt a lot of things which you might not realize if you're upset and you're going through things, which you probably are. You're probably experiencing a lot of those emotions. But in time, you will look back and you'll see what you've learnt, and you'll see that the situation that it wasn't necessarily what you thought it was. It may, from the outside, or may, like, while you're in it, seem like, things were amazing and they were going really, really well. But if two people don't want to make things work, if he's already sided with his family on something, which he has every right to do as well, like if he sided with his family on something and he had brought you into that, you would have been in a really tough situation. And if he's not looking at it objectively and saying, look, his loyalty is with his family, and his loyalty is with his family, it isn't to you, your relationship would have suffered in the long term. So chalk it up to to it being an experience that you've learned from, and you will meet someone, and these issues that would have been a lifelong issue will not be part of that new situation. Stay positive, and if you met someone on this app, I'm sure you can meet someone again on this app, so you can make it work. I've got time for one more question, so let's do this one. Says, hi Rax, I hope you're good and things have been well for you, especially in this catastrophic year. Bro, you know what? I'm gonna have to do a podcast about all this shit that's been going on this year. It's been a lot, man. It's been a lot, man, but I'm okay, man. I have my health and I'm grateful. Keep doing you. I love the way you form and present your art. Thank you. So I'm writing this email to you because, to be honest, at this point I don't know who to talk to about what to do on my own. Basically, I've known this girl for 5 years. We've talked here and there, but since last year we got really, really close, like proper besties, and as much as I didn't want to, I started developing feelings for her. Oh dear. I had no control over them. It's been 5 to 6 months. I've been feeling this way for her, and I want to tell her how I truly feel, because I feel like she deserves to know. But she got into a relationship about 4 months ago, and now she's in a happy relationship. Ugh, okay. Now I reconsider every time I'm willing to tell her about what I feel, because neither do I want to ruin our friendship nor want to upset her. I'm okay with her being in a relationship with someone else. As far as she's being appreciated, valued, loved, and as far as she's happy, I'm okay with it, all of it. Now, this is what I ask myself all the time. Shall I tell her how I feel? Does she need to know? Or shall I just keep it all to myself as I have for the past 5-6 months? I would like to have some piece of advice on it from you. I want to know what you think I should do, as you're older and wiser than I am. Much love. Okay, the short answer is don't tell her. Don't tell her. Bro, she's in a relationship and she's happy. Just leave it as that. She was a girl that you liked and you never made her move on. You were just friends, so leave it be. And that's the short answer. Just let her be, and you need to kind of let her be happy in her relationship and focus on yourself and maybe meeting someone. And you know what? Okay, I'm gonna probably tell another story because I've got a little bit of time. So first thing I want to say is, as a general rule of thumb, we have got to, this is not necessarily relevant to this, but it's just generally speaking, we have got to, as a baseline, when people are polite or nice or friendly to us, we have got to see it as just that and nothing else. Because more often than not, what we end up doing is reading into things and imaginalizing. Jeez, I haven't used that word in so long. I came up with that word when I was in college. Imaginalize. It's like, it is what it sounds like. Imagining and analyzing. And it's so funny because I used to do this all the time when I was younger. When I was in college, I used to be in situations where I didn't know myself enough and I didn't know people enough. I didn't have enough experience or knowledge to know if someone was interested in me or how to kind of navigate that situation, which I feel like this question alludes to, and a lot of people kind of feel like that as well. The number one thing you can do is, if someone's being nice to you, that means they're being friendly to you and they're a nice person. It doesn't mean they want to be in a relationship with you. It doesn't mean they fancy you. It doesn't mean they like you. Unless they overtly do things or say things which make them feel like they're interested in you, it just means that they're being nice. As a man, if you are interested in a woman and you want to be more than friends, you need to make that clear as early as you can. And that doesn't mean you just, distastefully or, whatever it is. It doesn't mean you do something stupid or you just blurt something out. it means you make your intentions clear. If you're gonna pay a compliment, you pay a compliment which lets the girl know that you are interested in her as more than a friend. Some women appreciate that and some women don't, but you will learn as you go, and you will sometimes mess things up, and you will sometimes put yourself in situations where you're like, kind of put myself out there, and she wasn't feeling the same way. So on that note, I'll tell you a very embarrassing story about something that I went through many years ago. Oh God, should I share this on the... All right, cool. Whatever, man. This was like 20 years ago. Okay, so I liked this girl, and I thought she liked me as well. So what I would do was I would ask my friends. Like, I had like my female friends, and I would ask my other friends, and I'd be like, oh, she said this, or, you know, she texted me this and I text her this, and what shall I say? Or I remember one of the things was I go to so I'm from Luton, so from Luton you can get the train into London, to central London. So a lot of people do it. I used to do it back in the day when I was in college. So I used to do it with a bunch of my friends. And I remember talking to this girl once, and I was like, oh, you know, if you want to go London sometime, you know, me and my friends always go London, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, that would be really nice. Like, you know, let me know next time, I'll come. Now, the younger me thought, okay, cool, that means she's on it. That doesn't mean she's on it, bro. That means that you have said that you go to London with your friends, and you're asking her if she would like to come with her friends, or with her, you know what I mean, whatever. It is just whatever. It is just, it doesn't mean anything. Don't imaginalize. Anyway, so this went on for a while, and looking back now, I can see where I didn't misread things. I feel like I maybe read into things a lot more than I should have. And on top of that, I liked her. So when you like someone, when they do things, it means more. Like, you could walk through a door, you could like be walking through somewhere, whatever, and one of your mates holds open the door for you, and you're like, cool, thanks. And then you like someone and they hold open the door for you, and all of a sudden it means something, like, oh, look, they hold the door open for me. That's like a kind of a silly analogy, but you get the point that I'm making. Things that they do or things that they say hold more value to you because you like them. Anyway, so what happened was I ended up asking this girl out, and I still feel embarrassed about this whole shit. And she kind of was just like, nah, not really. Like, you know, I just thought we're friends. Which she was well within her rights to say, and, you know, that was how she felt, and I liked her as more than a friend, and I got rejected, and I was like all sad about it and whatever. But I think the biggest thing for me about that whole situation was, looking back now, I can see where I imaginalized, where I read into things too much because I liked her, and I didn't see things for what they actually were because I was emotionally invested. So, and the other thing was, I didn't actually make clear that I liked her until I kind of asked her out. So it was kind of like, okay, cool, we just kind of get on, whatever. And then all of a sudden I asked her out, and it was like, yo, where the hell did that come? Like, from her side, she's probably like, where the hell did this come from? So, yeah, for you, brother, asking this question, make your intentions, when you're getting to know someone, make your intentions a little bit more clearer. And if you start, I mean, it's easy to say that as well, because sometimes you don't necessarily feel like you do actually feel like you're just friends. But then you have to see if the feelings are reciprocal. You're saying this girl's in a relationship and she's with another guy and she's happy. Bro, that tells you everything. That means she doesn't see you as a potential partner and the feelings aren't reciprocal. She's in a relationship with someone else. If she was in a relationship with someone else and she was constantly spending time with you, constantly never mentioning her boyfriend, she was unhappy in her relationship, she was venting to you, you guys were getting closer and closer, there was you shared certain things, moments, then it would be more of a complicated situation where it'd be like, okay, you need to tell her to, similar to a question that I had I think a couple of weeks ago, maybe I can't remember which episode it was, but where she has to make a decision between who she's with and who she wants to be with, or who she possibly sees as a potential partner. But for you, like, bro, you can already see she's in a happy relationship and she's being treated fine and she's happy. So there's no reason for you to kind of stick your leg in there or get involved. You are coming to this situation only seeing yourself. That sounds quite harsh, but it is kind of one of these things of kind of linking to the not taking it personally, because how she feels isn't a reflection of you as a person or as a potential partner. She's already in a relationship and she's happy. That doesn't devalue you at all. It just means you have to redirect that energy elsewhere to someone who does reciprocate those feelings for you. Okay, I think that answered the question, and I shared more than I thought I was going to this episode. I hope you are all safe and I hope you're all well. I hope the retrograde didn't have any negative long-term effects on anyone listening to this. Stay safe. We're in second lockdown in England at the moment. I don't know what's going on in the world at the moment. It's a bit of a shambles. Try and stay grounded. Be grateful for your loved ones, for your health, for your families, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Like this. Like this.